start in English, so I was just briefly reminding your previous coming here some years ago, and what is behind this selection now, which is not a complete selection. And I was explaining, for example, why the touring horse is not in the problem just because a couple of months ago we have shown it twice already this year. So again, this is a very special moment for us. We have been talking with Béla Tarr recently and frequently about his coming again to the Cinemateca. It was not possible in the beginning of the year, and the first thing I have to say is that we really thank him very much to be here because of health problems. I know that all his travels have been complicated and difficult, and even now we have really to thank his effort to be with us. His coming to Portugal this time was done in collaboration with the festival in Spring, so we made it together, trying to combine it in order to make it possible for both. I can only repeat that it's a great honor, a great pleasure, a very special moment for us, and we really thank him. Thank you, Béla Tarr, for all these reasons, and I know that they are really serious. We thought to start with a couple of questions from me and Luis, and then we ask you to start raising your own questions. So I don't know whether I can start immediately, or would you like to say something about your...
No, I just wanted to say thanks to everybody for coming, and for me it was really amazing. Yesterday we had almost a fully packed room, even if it was a football game between Portugal and Poland. And that was the biggest honor for me in my life. I have to tell you. And that's all what I can say. And honestly, it was usually when I'm going around the world, everywhere, everybody is just showing all my hits, all my Minister, Damnation, Shadowdown, Touring Horse, the others. And somehow it was a really nice surprise for me to see you showing some less known films. And together those films that I was choosing to show to you, it somehow, maybe you can understand a little bit more what I'm thinking about the filmmaking or about the work.
Okay, so you have been saying again and again that you are not really telling stories, or telling the story is not the important thing, and that all stories have been told, and so on and so on. I don't know whether you want to comment on this again, but provocatively we could say that even if you tell your stories in a completely different way from what we were used to see in films before, what you do is actually to tell stories all the time, I would say. So, would you like to still to develop it a little bit? I mean, how do you see the narrative side of your cinema, and what it really interests you in the narrative side? Because there is, of course, a narrative side, even if the form is totally different from, at least from classical cinema.
Okay, let's say the question is what you mean about story. Because as you have Google, you can read, I said millions of times, for me, this kind of linear stories, and which is based on the logic of the action, cut, action, cut, action, cut. It's boring because these kind of stories are already done in the Old Testament. And we are just repeating all the time the same old story. But, of course, let's say, when we say action, we could think about what this means, action. The action is a kind of information. If you say information cut, in this case you can liberate your fantasy and you can say, okay, a part of the scene, let's say, for example, in the damnation, because it was shown here, there is a scene, and when the scene is started, let's say this is the action or story, and then we leave with our camera to show a piece of wall, which is also an information, and also a part of the life, and it's also meaningful. Or we just showing a piece of nature, dogs, rain, space, and we are involving the time. And it's really, we're just giving a little bit different aspect or dimension for the story. Of course, everything became a kind of story because it started from the beginning and finishing at the end. It means story. But the way how you are explaining or showing those things and connecting the things together, it's maybe this is a little bit different, but it's surely different than the linear storytelling. It's irritating me. I hate it since when I grow up. And I'm sorry I did not change it.
Another very obvious basic question is the acceptance or not of the metaphoric side of your cinema, because I must say that, for example, when I saw Serpentine for the first time, I thought that it was a total metaphor about a piece of history in your country, not just in your country, but in the area of the world. And I also believe that maybe you could say that it's just the opposite, that nothing is metaphor.
First of all, yeah, I'm sorry I have to disappoint you, because in the film we do not know, it doesn't exist. Metaphors, allegories, and symbols. Three things are coming from the literature. You can use for something which is written, but on the screen, unfortunately or fortunately, for me fortunately, it's very concrete. No metaphors. We have huge lenses or small lenses for the camera. It's a lot of lenses, and we call it this object. It's objective. has to exist in the reality. And, let's see this plastic bottle. It's, if you are a writer, you can write beautiful metaphors, symbols, or allegories, or everything what you want, depending by you. And it's, you can write 20 pages about this plastic bottle, but if I am a poor, ugly filmmaker, I can make only a concrete picture. The question is how I connecting this bottle to you, and how belongs these things to you, how it's get a meaning, and it's became important and representing you. When you are holding, that will be something which is yours. And this is why I think it's no metaphor, no allegories, no symbols. The film is concrete. Of course, we have a lot of chance to build up atmosphere, and we have, all the time the question is the connections. How you can connect the things to your, let's say, characters or main characters, so it doesn't matter who. That's how it works for me. Maybe, because I cannot say every filmmaker is the same, fortunately not. But I like very much. The world is colorful, and for example, maybe Salvador is doing in a different film, because I see him. He's a young filmmaker. He has totally different vision than me. But we are in the same planet. And why we want to put something to the categories, to the boxes.
Okay, one from my side.
Sorry.
From, I believe it was in Damnation that you started to collaborate with the writer, I hope I'm saying right, the name Krasnahorkai. And I know that that collaboration has been very important since that moment on. Whether you have adapted or not, in the case of Certain Time, there is an adaptation, a kind of, at least inspiration in the novel, I think, of the writer, but in other cases, I think you work with him, not necessarily adapting anything to him. Could you say something about that relationship and how it, what was the way it shaped somehow your own work since that time?
Okay, first of all films what we made, because when you say the name or the brand, it's called Béla Tarr. It's not only it's including Agnes Kramitsky, including László Krasznahorkai, including the composer. Of course, I started to work together with Agnes first, and then afterwards, slowly the others were joining. First Mihai, and then 1985 László Krasznahorkai, and we became a kind of family. But you have to know, he's a writer, and he has no any knowledge about the filmmaking. He's all the time writing. He's a really good writer. You can read his books. I'm sure English, French, German, and Spanish, but maybe you can catch in Portuguese too. And he's a really excellent writer, but he, you know, what is the main issue? We had the same point of view. When he was writing, he was watching the world. And when we are doing the film, we were watching the world. And somehow we were thinking the same thing. And for example, when we were working, we never thought about art. I hate this word, art. And we never thought about film. We were talking all the time about the life, how is going to life. And we knew this will be my job to transforming everything as a kind of film. And of course, how he was transforming the reality as a kind of novel. But there we had a different job, but we worked together because we understand each other. And when I had a question for him just about the reality, I had a question about how we can do it, because he doesn't know. But it's something which is very important to work together when someone knowledge helps you, but not on the direct way. He's helping me, but not giving to me solution. I have to solve the problems, but he just giving me kind of energy. And he just telling to me, you are not alone. You are not totally mad. Because sometimes when I saw some people how they are watching me, when I was working, sometimes I had a feeling, okay,
Can we say that since that moment on, all the films, the way they start in your mind, the way they are developed in the early stages, is already connected with this collaboration with him?
No,
Or just comes
it's,
after?
you have to understand. First, when I started like a young 22 years old anarchist who wants to change the world. And full of energy, I was very, very angry. And I did not knock in the door, I was beating the door. I was doing the film with a 16mm handheld black and white camera with non-professional actors, just to show up, punching you and tell you, shaking you, how it's going the real fucking life. And of course, that was how I started. And film by film, you know, the next film, when you finish a film, it's generating a new question. But you cannot give an answer on the same way. You have to develop a new way to answering for your own question. And then how you are going step by step, film by film, further and further, or deeper and deeper, because you understand more and more around the world and about the world. And by the end, of course, you have to close in the shop. But it is a trip, a long trip. It was 34 years in my life, and when we met Laszlo, it was a point when he can join to us. And we went afterwards together. Some people were joining. Mihaly was joining to us. It was 1983. You know, step by step. But first we became friends, and then afterwards we started to work together. And somehow, if you see, his collaboration it was logical.